Good morning. Happy Sunday to you. I'm trying not to worry about things and just be thankful because I'm always on Facebook and everybody's always complaining. And it says a Thanksgiving Day prayer: family, health, soft bed, friends, freedom, a roof, blessings, blessings, blessings. So that was my son's preschool project, and it's influenced me even now. And we try to have a candle in it at night for dinner time. So let's finish up Genesis. I don't know what we'll do after Genesis. It says, so Joseph's 10 brothers went to buy grain in Egypt. Why do you look at one another, says Jacob. Go to Egypt, get grain. Genesis 42, 1 through 2. So Joseph's 10 brothers went to buy grain in Egypt. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's without Joseph and without Benjamin, I believe. Jacob sends them to Egypt to get grain because they have a lot of in storage from Joseph. Now Joseph was the governor of the land, the person who sold grain to all its people. So when Joseph's brothers arrived, they bowed to him with their faces to the ground. As soon as Joseph saw his brothers, he recognized them, but he pretended to be a stranger and spoke harshly to them. Now when Joseph was governor of the land, this is Genesis 42, 3 through 16. Now Joseph was the governor of the land, the people who sold grain to all its people, the person who sold grain to all its people. So he was the one who sold grain. So when Joseph's brothers arrived, they bowed to him. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So when Joseph's brothers arrived, they bowed to him with their faces to the ground. As soon as Joseph saw his brothers, he recognized them, but he pretended to be a stranger to them and spoke harshly to them. Hey, what are you guys doing? What do you think you're doing? And he's remembering his dream. I don't have that written, but he's remembering his dream where they bow down to him. The sheaves, the corn stalks or something, bow down to him. Now Joseph was the governor of the land, the person who sold grain to all its people. So when Joseph's brothers arrived, they bowed to him with their faces to the ground. As soon as Joseph saw his brothers, he recognized them, but he pretended to be a stranger and spoke harshly to them. And he remembered his dream, but I don't have. Here it is. Then Joseph remembered the dreams which he had dreamed about them, and said to them. One more time. Then Joseph remembered the dreams he had dreamed about them, and said to them, "You are spies, go to jail. If you are honest men, let one of your brothers stay here in prison, while the rest of you go, ... More words. But you must bring your youngest brother to me." Then Joseph remembered the dreams which he had dreamed about, and said to them, "You are spies, go to jail. If you are honest men, let one of your brothers stay here in prison, while the rest of you go. But you must bring the youngest brother to me." I think they're all in prison, and they said they were there for 3 days. I don't have that written out there. But Joseph said, "Go back and get your youngest brother, but leave one person here." So they say, "Okay." And why don't I have this written out? I'll write that. They leave. They're speaking Hebrew. "We are being punished for what we did." And they left one person back, Simeon. Wonder why Simeon. And Joseph says, "I can understand you. Go get your brother and come back." So they're speaking Hebrew, and Joseph can understand them. And I guess he's crying. I'll write the Bible verses there. So they leave. They're speaking Hebrew. Joseph understands them. Simeon is left, and Joseph says, "Go get your brother and come back." Joseph gave orders to fill their bags with grain, to put each man's silver back in his sack. So I guess money from the grains. Joseph gave orders to fill their bags with grain, to put each man's silver back in his sack. What in the world our money is here? Maybe that was to pay for the grain. But as one of them opened his sack to give his donkey's feed at the encampment, he saw his money, and there it was in the mouth of his sack. Genesis 42:27. So as one of them opened his sack to give his donkey feed at the encampment, the camping area, he saw his money, and there it was in the mouth of his sack. When they came to their father Jacob in the land of Canaan, their father said to them, "You have deprived me of my children. Joseph is no more, and Simeon is no more, and now you want to take Benjamin. Everything is against me." Then Reuben said to his father, "Entrust him to my care, and I will bring him back." So when they came to their father Jacob in the land of Canaan, their father said to them, "You have deprived me of my children. No, Joseph is no more, and Simeon is no more, and now you want to take Benjamin. Everything is against me." Then Reuben said to his father, "Entrust him to my care, and I will bring him back. Benjamin must go with us. I will bring him back." Jacob said, "Okay, we're out of food. You can take Benjamin, but bring gifts and don't come back without Benjamin," Jacob says. So they all leave again, and they have gifts of spices, myrrh, best fruits, balm, honey, pistachio nuts, almond nuts, Judah and Benjamin. And I don't know why Benjamin is protected there. And they brought double the money. And I need to write that out. So they're going to go back. They ran out of food. They're going to go back to Egypt with gifts and double the money and Benjamin. Let's go. So the men took the gifts and double the amount of silver, and Benjamin also. They hurried down to Egypt and presented themselves to Joseph. "Here is our brother and our father as well." There's some tape back there I need to fix. So Genesis 43:27 through 30. They said, "Here's our brother and our father as well." Everybody's doing fine. And there's Joseph. Now his heart yearned for his brother, so Joseph made haste and sought somewhere to weep and cry. And he went into his chamber room and wept there. Now Joseph, his brother, his heart yearned for his brother. He wanted to hug him and say hi. So Joseph made haste, went quickly, and sought somewhere to weep. And he went into his chamber and wept there. So they set him a place by himself, and then by themselves. Egyptians can't eat with Hebrews. And the Egyptians who ate with him by themselves. Let me read that again. So they set him a place by himself, and then by themselves, and the Egyptians who ate with him by themselves. Because the Egyptians could not eat food with the Hebrews, the men looked in astonishment at one another. What's happening? Why are we eating all this food, I think? Astonishment. So there's Joseph with the Egyptians. Serve the bread. So they set him a place by himself, and then by themselves, and the Egyptians who ate with him by themselves. Because the Egyptians could not eat food with the Hebrews, the men looked in astonishment at one another. So is this Joseph or not? I gotta check that. The men looked in at astonishment at each other. Genesis 44:1. Now Joseph gave these instructions to the steward of his house. Fill the men's sacks with as much food as they can carry, ... Then put my cup, the silver one, in the mouth of the youngest one's sack, ... As morning dawned, the men were sent on their way with their donkeys. Joseph said to his steward, Go after these men at once. And the cup was found in Benjamin's sack. Now Joseph gave these instructions to the steward of his house. Fill the men's sacks with as much food as they can carry. Then put my cup, the silver one, in the mouth of the youngest one's sack. As morning dawned, the men began. As morning dawned and began, dawn is when the sun comes up, the men were sent on their way with their donkeys. Joseph said to his steward, Go after these men at once, and the cup was found in Benjamin's sack. Judah says, No, heaven forbid, he can't stay. I don't know. Why did you take my cup, Benjamin? Now you must stay with me. Joseph said, Genesis 44:12-18. So, no, heaven forbid, he can't stay. Benjamin's got to stay. No way. Joseph was still in the house when Judah and his brothers came in, and they threw themselves to the ground before him. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So Joseph was still in the house when Judah and his brothers came in, and they threw themselves to the ground before him. That must have been something else. Then Joseph could not restrain himself. He couldn't stop himself anymore. And he wept aloud, and the Egyptians and the house of Pharaoh heard it. Then he said, I am Joseph, ... I am Joseph, your brother. It was not you who sent me here, but God. What's that noise? The Pharaoh and the Egyptians all heard the cry. Then Joseph could not restrain himself, and he wept aloud, and the Egyptians and the house of Pharaoh heard it. Then he said, I am Joseph. God has caused, here's different pictures from Genesis. God has caused me to be fruitful in the land of my affliction. I've been done well in the land of my problems. Genesis 41:52. God has caused me to be fruitful in the land of my affliction. Genesis 43:30. Joseph went into his private room and wept. Joseph went into his private room and wept. The cup was found in Benjamin's sack. At this they tore their clothes. Genesis 44:12-13. The cup was found. Oh, I like that image. The cup was found in Benjamin's sack. At this they tore their clothes. Tearing your clothes in those times meant they were upset. Do not be grieved or angry with yourselves because you sold me here, for God sent me before you to preserve life. It was not you who sent me here, but God. Hurry and go up to my father. Genesis 45:1-10. Bring your father and your households back. Do not be grieved or angry with yourselves because you sold me here, for God sent me before you to preserve and save life. It was not you who sent me here, but God. Hurry and go up to my father. Genesis 45, 1 through 10. Bring your father and your households back. He gave to all of them changes of garments, clothes, but to Benjamin he gave 300 pieces of silver and 5 changes of garments. Oh my goodness. So he gave all of them changes of clothes. I don't have all the brothers here, but everybody has a change of clothes. Changes of garments, but to Benjamin he gave 300 pieces of silver. So Benjamin's kind of wrapped up there. And 5 changes of garments. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it looks like donkeys. He gave to all of them changes of garments, but to Benjamin he gave 300 pieces of silver and 5 changes of garments. And I got to find out, 4 donkeys? I don't know. Bunch of stuff. Genesis 45, 21 through 27. Jacob says, my spirit is revived. Let's go. I need to fill this in more. Jacob says, my spirit is revived. Let's go. Hopefully your spirit is revived. Virginia is opening up a little bit. So I'm revived. I'm happy. Happy days are here again. 70 people go to Goshen. So Joseph ... went up to Goshen to meet his father Israel, and he presented himself to him and fell on his neck and wept a good while. And Israel said to Joseph, now let me die, since I have seen your face. Genesis 46. So Joseph went up to Goshen to meet his father Israel. He presented himself to him and fell on his neck. I need to draw that. Fell on his neck and wept a good while. And Israel said to Joseph, now let me die, since I have seen your face. Son, father. Reunite. Then Joseph brought in his father Jacob and set him before Pharaoh, and Jacob blessed Pharaoh. Then Joseph brought in his father Jacob and set him before Pharaoh, and Jacob blessed Pharaoh. So Joseph introduces Jacob. Pharaoh, this is my dad. We are shepherds. God bless you. Or nice to meet you. What do you do? We are shepherds. God bless you. Then Joseph brought in his father Jacob and set him before Pharaoh, and Jacob blessed Pharaoh. That was nice. Genesis 47:17. All the Egyptians came to Joseph and said, give us bread. Then Joseph said, give your livestock, and I will give you bread for your livestock if the money is gone. He gave them food in exchange for their houses, their sheep and goats, their cattle, and their donkeys. So all the Egyptians came to Joseph and said, give us bread. Then Joseph said, give your livestock, and I will give you bread for your livestock if the money is gone. He gave them food in exchange for their horses, their sheep and goats, their cattle, and their donkeys. And then they said, buy us and our land in exchange for food. So Joseph is just buying everything possible in exchange for food. Genesis 47:14 through 20. Sell us our grain. Sell us your grain. We must eat. Buy our livestock. So I guess Joseph has the grain there, and everybody's like, sell us your grain. We must eat. Buy our livestock. Sell us your grain. We must eat. Buy our livestock. Buy me. Buy our land. We will not hide from my Lord that our money is gone. Buy us and our land for bread, and we and our land will be servants of Pharaoh. So Joseph buys the land and the people for Pharaoh. For the grain. Everybody needs food. And Israel said to Joseph, I had not thought to see your face, but in fact God has also shown me your offspring. your children. Genesis 48, 10 through 19. So I think Israel's going to die. So he says, bless the children, Manasseh on one hand, Ephraim on the other. Bless the children. Thank you, Father, Joseph said. Whoops, wrong one. So Israel had his hand on the older one in the wrong way. And thus he set Ephraim before Manasseh. So maybe Ephraim is the oldest. Thank you, Father. Whoops, wrong one. And this he set Ephraim before Manasseh. Bless the children. No problem, not at all. And he switched him around by his hands. And Jacob called his sons and said, gather together that I may tell you what shall befall you. So he's going to prophesy and tell them different things. Reuben is unstable as water. You shall not excel. Uh-oh. Simeon and Levi, cursed be their anger. Judah is a lion's whelp. Judah is like a lion. A whelp, maybe a baby. Cub. Zebulun shall become a haven for ships, a place for ships. Dan shall be a serpent by the way, a judge. Gad shall triumph at last. Yay, Gad. Issachar is a strong donkey. Bread for Asher will be rich. Naphtali uses beautiful words. Yes. Joseph is a fruitful bow by a well with a crown. Joseph is a fruitful bow like trees, branches. Joseph is a beautiful branch by a well with a crown. Here's the well of water, and he has a crown. Benjamin is a ravenous wolf. Ravenous, you want to eat all the time. Genesis 49, 1 through 28. Last page. We'll do that one more time. Reuben is unstable as water. You shall not excel. Simeon and Levi, cursed be their anger. Judah is a lion's whelp. Gad shall triumph at last. Dan shall be a serpent, a snake by the way, and judge. Zebulun shall become a haven for ships. Naphtali uses beautiful words. Bread from Asher will be rich. Issachar is a strong donkey. Joseph is a beautiful bow, tree branch. Joseph is a beautiful bough by a well with a crown. Benjamin is a ravenous wolf. Genesis 49. Jacob breathed his last, so the physicians embalmed him. So in Egypt, they put in special embalming fluid. Genesis 49, 33 through 50. Don't worry, brothers. You meant evil for me, but God meant it for good. I forgive you. So may we forgive everybody. Genesis 50, 19 through 20. So Israel is dead, and the brothers are worried. Jacob breathed his last, but the physicians embalmed him.